Okay. None of those words now.
Nothing that we can hear anyway.
Because guess what?
Oh, no,
We are live. The internet has been very crazy this morning.
Yes.
But this is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with
me, Paul Seaburn. Hi, everybody. Hey, Karen. Oh, yeah, there's some applause. Let's get a Bigfoot howl in there. Let's.
Oh my gosh,
Bigfoot
he sounds ill.
Bigfoot is always tuned in to What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news show. Hi, Karen Hale. Karen Hale
Hey,
is
I'm here.
media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. Also with us today is John Dinallo, our co-host and What in the World of Sports guy. Hey, John.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Karen.
Hey, how are you?
We want to apologize and welcome to everybody who is listening to the podcast on their favorite podcast platform, watching us on YouTube. If you are watching us on YouTube, please follow us. Follow us on YouTube.
Follow us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And any place else, like or follow or kiss the screen. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Whatever.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Thank you. To keep us coming to you every week on newclevelandradio.net. What in the World is everybody's favorite weird news show. As I said, real news, our motto, real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's what we try to do. You don't find stories, a conceit of story anywhere else in media universe, not just the internet or the mainstream media, but there's noise that's going on in here in our What in the World studio at our secret location. You don't find this kind of news in one place anywhere else but at What in the World. And when I say news, I want to make sure you know what kind of news we're talking about. So get ready for this. This week, we've got a red-headed Bigfoot in New Jersey. We've got flat earthers in England. We've got the worst place to live in Antarctica. Oh, wait till you hear this. Anybody who's thinking about moving to someplace a little colder, this may not be the place you want to go. E.T. gets captured in Brazil. I hope we get to that. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I do want to mention, I do have a story about Meatloaf, not the food, but the late, great singer who has a connection to Cleveland, which is where we're broadcasting from, the Northeast Ohio area. So Bigfoot. He was big, but he wasn't Bigfoot. He was Meatloaf. He had a paranormal connection. He was a ghost hunter. Yeah. So we're going to talk about some of his ghost hunting adventures. And then I got some world records we'll be talking about. More strange news, trivia as always. You'll know when you hear the trivia horn that some trivia is coming up. Then, of course, John has What in the World of Sports. He's got an appropriately seasoned sport for this week.
Well said, Paul. Well said.
And then before we get out, we'll play a game of Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. So I got a lot of, we apologize for not being here last week. We got a lot of stuff to cram in this week. So let's get right to it. John, do you ever participate in bar bets by any chance?
What was that, Paul? What?
Bar bets, when you're sitting at the bar and somebody says, hey,
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got one for you. This is going to help you win your next bar bet.
Okay.
What animal has the longest arms relative to its body?
Oh.
You can play too, Karen.
I'm a gorilla.
Gorilla, good guess. John, how about you? What do you say?
No, you know what? I'm drawing a blank, Paul. I can't.
I'm not an animal person, obviously.
But it could say a lemur, but a lemur's just
you're very close. You're very close in the same family. Actually, a new study, and where do people get the money to do these kinds of studies? New study: the animal with the longest arms relative to its body is a tie between the pale-throated sloth and the brown-throated sloth. Who knew there were so many different kinds of sloths? And those the sleepy ones that hang upside down. They look like a living hammock, right, John?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. and they got those big long claws.
They're very unique. They're very unique looking.
Very unique, very unique. A South American, big South American animal. Their arms are 1.7 times longer than their legs. So their arms are almost twice as long as their legs are, which they're knuckle draggers. That's why they hang in the tree, because they don't want their knuckles dragging. Number 2, you both were very close. The gibbon, which is another long-armed monkey similar to the lemurs, 1.5 times longer. Their arms are 1.5 times longer than their legs. Humans, our arms are only 70% as long as our legs. So obviously, our legs are longer than our arms. So there you go, John. You'd win that bet. But I think too much about these things, and I'm thinking, gee, our arms are only 70% as long as our legs. That's so unfair. Nature should have given the longest arms to the people who wipe their butts the most. That would be the animal. That would be us.
I can candidly
That would be us.
Wait a minute. That's what kind of thought process is that? Like, why do you think in those terms? I mean, really? I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think about things like that.
Don't ask me where I got that thought. Where it was while I came up with that one.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
I think everybody out there can figure that one out. Okay, John. So you objected to that. Let me ask you this, and this goes to everybody else out there. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have longer arms or longer legs than what you have right now?
Oh, longer legs for sure.
Longer legs. What's your logic behind that?
Or
is that just a gut feel?
It's just a gut feel, I guess.
Gut feel. Karen, how about you? Longer arms or longer legs?
Longer arms so I could hug more people.
Oh, how sweet that is.
Very good.
There you go. Karen, stealing the show again. Trying to be nice.
Oh, very good.
So Karen says arms, John says legs. And both very good explanation. I was going to go with arms because I was thinking about in terms of sports, John. And I was thinking, longer arms would be good at basketball.
Oh, for sure. For certain.
And then I was imagining an animal with short arms trying to play basketball. Think about the T-Rex. Could you imagine the T-Rex? Those tiny little arms. Yeah, they couldn't even generate enough oomph to make a foul shot.
No kidding. Yeah. I was thinking about the T-Rex also when you said about that. When you think of that.
That's right.
Smaller hands or smaller arms, than the T-Rex.
Just bite the heads off the other players, and that would be the end. It must be why they're extinct, because with those little tiny arms, they couldn't reach their mouths to feed themselves.
It's true.
It makes sense when you think of it.
Yeah, and of course they couldn't wipe their butts either. And if they
that's coming back,
they couldn't scratch. Just think if they had an itch in that area.
Oh,
they couldn't scratch.
It's horrible.
It would be the kind of thing.
It could drive them insane. Really?
It probably cause their extinction. They probably sat there thinking, oh my God, this is so intense. If only an asteroid would come and put us out of our pain. And there you go. It happened.
There it is.
It's your history lessons. What in the world is
good, Paul? Hey, listen, it's always something we gain from the show. I mean,
there you go. I like science. You got it, John. I like science. So here's some science for the two of us. Karen can't participate in this one. So there's a startup company in, I believe they're in the Scandinavian area. They're called almost your name, DeNovo, D-N-O-V-O, DeNovo. Not Italian though.
No, I see.
They claim that they were growing human hair in a lab, like in a petri dish. So they're taking by reprogramming it genetically. but they didn't take hair follicles. What they took were fat cells and blood cells, and they put them in the petri dish, and then they did genetic magic to it and caused it to grow into hair, which they eventually will implant on heads, such as the two of us have. I'm thinking, okay, it sounds like a good idea until I started thinking about blood and fat. And I'm thinking, I don't want fat red hair. I would certainly like hair, but not from fat cells. What happens when you try to comb your hair from a fat cell? It's going to get stuck. You're going to break the teeth, or hurt your hair, or something worse.
Paul, I just subscribe to the philosophy, bald is beautiful. That's all I have.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
What is this? What happened to we're off for a week and everybody gets nice. This is
right. We lose our edge. We're losing our edge here, right?
Let me make it clear. 2 out of 3 people get nice.
That's true. That is true.
There you go. So I'm thinking I want hair that would be close to what I have right now, which is in the gray area of the rainbow. But if you had a choice, John, if they came to you and said, John Dinello, we want you to be our test, I don't want to call you a guinea pig, our test person, you can have any color hair that you want. What color would you ask for?
I would go back to the hair that I had when I was young.
I remember that. It was green, wasn't it?
Everybody assumes my hair, because my last name is Dinello. Everyone would assume that my hair is black. It's not, but my hair is brown. It's always
brown.
been
That's right. I do remember
brown.
that. Yeah.
Driver's license says brown, whatever it is. But no, I'll go back to the brown.
Okay, so what if they said to you, we don't have that color anymore?
I guess as a second choice, I'd go black then, I guess.
You go black. Okay. I would go Dennis Rodman. I don't know if you remember Dennis Rodman.
Orange.
Forget Dennis Rodman.
Oh, he had multicolored hair.
Sure.
He had every color of the rainbow on his head. If you're gonna go, you go all the way. I would do a Rodman.
Go Rodman on me. Yeah, right. Okay.
Or I thought about this. I thought about how cool it would be to have fluorescent hair that would glow in the dark. But then I thought, how am I going to fall asleep?
How is Donna gonna fall asleep?
Oh, Donna, the lovely Donna. That's right. I could wear a hat, I guess. But anyway, so
Paul, sounds too complicated.
I know. I overthink things, John. You tell me all the time. You overthink things. So now, and we're gonna do it again now.
That's right. There you go.
So for regular listeners to the What in the World podcast, you probably know that when the subject turns to flatulence, Karen gets upset. So get ready, because Karen's going to get upset because the subject is turning to flatulence.
Oh no!
I think someday we should devote an entire show to figuring out what Karen's problem with flatulence might be. It's a natural thing, Karen. But anyways, this is actually a public service announcement for our listeners. A man, and he didn't give where he lived, but he was talking to a doctor, a YouTube doctor, a TikTok doctor he was. And he told the doctor, in all honesty, that one time he was temporarily blinded for hours by his own flatulence. Now that sounds pretty serious to me.
Sure does.
Yeah, it sounds scary.
Yeah. So this is Dr. Anthony Youn, Y-O-U-N. I guess Youn or Youn, maybe Youn. He's a board certified plastic surgeon. So he knows something about flatulence, right? No. He has this TikTok channel where he answers medical questions to anybody. It's not just plastic surgery. Okay. He's out of, by the way, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see that John Dinello is wearing another of his vast collection of Michigan paraphernalia, I would think.
Yes.
Michigan regalia is a friend of mine.
Regalia, that's the word. Yeah, I knew it was one of those.
Regalia again, but there is Michigan versus everybody.
That's right. Yeah, that's what Michigan does to me. It ails me.
Oh.
So anyway, this guy calls himself America's holistic plastic surgeon. He does plastic surgery holistically. I'm not sure what that means, but in this case, he's talking to people on TikTok and answering their medical questions. So this guy says that he once farted so hard he went blind for 3 minutes. I'm sorry, I said hours, for 3 minutes. So the doctor said that could really happen. This is unbelievable. And then he explains how. He says, if the gas you pass is extremely pungent it could contain large amounts of hydrogen sulfide.
Phew.
Hydrogen sulfide, if you remember from your chemistry class, is the gas that makes the rotten egg smell. In fact, it's what makes rotten eggs smell like rotten eggs. Harmless, even in large concentrations, but in massive concentration or in small concentrations, it's harmless. And the average flatulence contains less than 1%, so it's okay. But you can beef it up with beans. Okay, so he told the guy, he said, you should stop eating beans because that makes more hydrogen sulfide in your flatulence. And then he said, hydrogen sulfide is very effective at reducing blood pressure. Now, so they use hydrogen sulfide is produced by the lining in your blood vessels and regulates blood pressure. So they can use hydrogen sulfide to alleviate high blood pressure. He said, which is a good thing, right? Okay. Except, okay, so this guy, his flatulence rose, it rose to his nose, which is very close to his eyes. And what happened was the hydrogen peroxide from the flatulence got into his eyes and reduced the blood pressure in his eyes, which is what caused him to go blind. Ooh. So yeah, I mean, it sounded like a joke question. And here this doctor, this holistic plastic surgeon, gives this really interesting medical explanation of how it could actually happen. So, I this guy's pretty good. Let's see what else he talks about. So then he talks about what did he talk about implants. So he says somebody asked him about implants. Which are stronger, breast implant or butt implant? Which is another good question. Karen, what do you think? Which would hold up better, breast implant or butt implant?
Probably breast implants.
Probably
you don't sit on them.
That's true. You don't sit on them. Yes, I don't know much about those. John, I'm sure, is an expert on both of them. What would you say, John? You've had your hands on implants.
My
the body part that you don't sit on.
Body part you don't sit on. Okay. Oh my God. Here we go. So America's holistic plastic surgeon. So he's going to give his reviews of butt versus breast implant. So how does he do it? He bites into them. He has silicone implants on his TikTok video, and he bites them. Yeah, John.
Oh, yuck.
You got to look it up. So to test the strength, he shows himself biting first he stomps on him with his foot, and they both survive. So it's a tie. Then he takes a hammer and he smashes each one, and they both survive. So it's another tie. Then he slams a door on each one of them. Things that everyone does with their implants. and they both survive again. So then he bites into again, something that everybody does with their implant. And they both survived, which means that it was a tie. The bust implant and breast implant are exactly the same when it comes to endurability.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that? There's another bar bet for you, John.
Never give much thought to that, but I guess it must be true.
You should. I think you should, John. You're becoming far too complacent on this show. So I'm not
challenging. I'm not. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not trying to push the envelope, right? I'm just.
There you go. Okay. Well, here's another chance for you. So I've never heard of this. Have you ever heard of a vegan violin?
A vegan violin?
Vegan violin. That's right. This comes from England. This story comes from England. A vegan violin. Violin maker. Apparently, people want vegan violins. Now, you're not going to eat your violin, but it's made with no animal materials. So he's made the first official vegan violin as ruled by the Guinness Book of World Records. So they have verified that this is a vegan violin, entirely free of animal products. That means no horsehair in the bow, no horsehair in the or any kind of cat hair or whatever they use in the strings. But I didn't know this. They used like animal fat in the glues and in the coating, like the varnish on the violins to make them shiny. So he had to find something to use instead of the animal product. So he used steamed pears, which sounds pretty good. I'd have a hard time working with steamed pears because they're good to eat. Berries and spring water. And he mixed all that stuff together and he used it for glue. He used it for dye, for the wood inlays. He did everything with that. So he won the world record for the only vegan violin. So I was thinking, name one person who would not be interested in buying a vegan violin.
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf. Oh, very good.
Good answer, Karen. Good answer.
Meatloaf. That's exactly right. Why would Meatloaf want a vegan violin? And would you go see a singer named Vegan Violin? Meatloaf. No. We didn't think anything of it. So the late great, sorry to say, this past week the late great Meatloaf passed away. 74 years old, too young. Had a big Cleveland connection. Nobody wanted to produce his first record, and he had a connection, a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing with Steve Popovich from Cleveland International Records in Cleveland, Ohio. And Steve listened to it, loved the Bat Out of Hell album, and proceeded to go knocking on doors until he found someone to produce and distribute Bat Out of Hell. And it became the huge hit and made Meatloaf the huge musician that he was, Grammy winning, not in the Hall of Fame. But he was also an actor. I didn't realize this other than I remembered him from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah.
Right.
You remember what character he was, John? I didn't. I had to look it up. You by any chance?
No, I don't remember his name. I do not.
Karen, were you a Rocky fan?
I went twice.
You went twice. That does not qualify.
No.
If you didn't go like 100 times and throw toast at the screen and all that stuff. He played Eddie the delivery guy, the ex-delivery guy, I believe is what his name was. So anyways, another thing I didn't know about Meatloaf was that he was into the paranormal, into ghosts. So he did an interview way back around 2000. He said that I believe there's something when you die because there are ghosts. I've seen them. I've been around them. Some are just energy left behind. Some are intelligent. I've had conversations with them with a meter that lets me answer yes or no, that lets them answer yes or no. I even chased one across the room once. So, Meatloaf is not just your average ghost believer. He's actually encountered ghosts. And he says when he was making Bat Out of Hell, he says, I saw a blonde girl in a white dress in a room that had no way to get in and out other than past him. And he called the band members, and when they came, the girl was gone, but they couldn't figure out how she got out. So he believed that was a ghost. And then in 2013, he decided to retire, one of his many retirements, and he wanted to become a ghost hunter. And he went to work for the Ghost Hunters TV show. He had a friend who was one of the ghost hunters, and he appeared on a couple of episodes. Actually, this was in the late 2000s. 2009 in the Bat Out of Hell episode, 2010 in Slow's Furnaces. I don't know what that is. Probably some haunted furnaces. And in a sad coincidence, he recently, Ghost Hunters came back. They was canceled and it's been renewed. And one of the first episodes features Meatloaf again going to a place in a haunted farmhouse in Tennessee. So they decided as a tribute to him, they will still show the episode called The Haunting House on the Hill. And that will be sometime in February. So if you're a fan of Meatloaf, a fan of Ghost Hunters, I'm not sure what station that's on, but yeah, take a look at it. He was also, if you want to, he pops up in all kinds of shows. He was on Tales from the Crypt. He was on an episode of that, The Outer Limit, Masters of Horror. So he was a pretty good actor apparently. Much better than I thought he was.
I really didn't think of that until you said that. But
yeah, and a good singer. But he
was unique. Had a real unique style, I thought.
As they say, you had to have a taste for Meatloaf.
Hit the horn. Okay.
Did Bigfoot like that one? Bigfoot said, I don't think.
I don't think Bigfoot can be excited or happy about anything. He just it's not even a growl.
Bigfoot has the same reaction for everything. Bigfoot needs an interpreter, which is me.
Oh boy.
Oh, let's talk about food for a minute here.
Sure.
Since we're talking about Meatloaf, this is real food. There's a restaurant in Guadalajara, Mexico. Have you ever been to Guadalajara, either Karen or John?
I have not been to Mexico.
I'm trying to remember. The lovely Donna and I have been to Mexico a number of times. I don't think we've been to Guadalajara. But Guadalajara made the news this week because it set another Guinness record. There we go. For the world's fastest food service. Get ready for this. You place your order and 13 and a half seconds later, a waiter comes out with your food. That is the world record for the world's fastest food delivery from placing your order to putting it on the table.
They only serve water.
No, they don't. They serve.
Oh my God.
Don't hurt. Well, they're a potential sponsor, Karen.
That's an astounding statistic, Paul.
So 13 and a half seconds, which is still a second lower than at Taco Bell, the time it takes from eating a burrito to running to the bathroom. 14 and a half seconds.
Apologies to Taco Bell.
How do they do? Yeah, I know. How do they do this? How did they cook it so fast? I asked somebody, and they said, well, they use lasers. I said, on Star Trek, they use lasers in the replicator, and they didn't get their food that fast.
That's right. That is true.
I would like to go there. We need to make a road trip there because I just like to watch the waiters running into each other, trying to, stick to that. It's like the pizza delivery guy, 30 minutes or it's free, 13 and a half seconds or it's free. You can imagine them flying back and forth. I think it'd be great.
How big is this kitchen? That for a minute. I mean, they can deliver the food that quick. How much grill space do they have?
How hot is the fire? There are many questions, John.
I'm always questioning.
What kind of pants do they use? What if you order something off the menu?
Then you're done. It's off the menu, 15 seconds.
There you go. Mexican food. What if you want your guacamole made at the table? Is it 13 and a half seconds that they grab the avocados and the tomatoes and run out and chop it all up?
Oh, right. Wow.
The more I discuss this, the more I think we need to make a road trip to Guadalajara. Or maybe Colorado.
And please don't share this with my family because I cannot get food on the table that quickly.
None of us can. I can't get it out of the refrigerator that quickly. I can't open a bag of chips that quickly. Have you tried to open a bag of chips lately?
Yeah.
It's exercise. You have to be a bodybuilder to rip open.
You could open bags of chips, years ago a lot easier. I agree with you on that. Now it's like
and it's not because we're getting weaker, John. Because we work out regularly.
Somewhat regularly.
John, did you take an honesty pill? What's going on here?
I kind of let my guard down. Okay, everybody has the good side of me for a change, right?
This is true confessions on what in the world.
Yeah, you never know what's coming up on our show. That's right. Very good, Paul. Very good.
Well, it was a great story out of Breckenridge, Colorado. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife people, the park rangers, were called to a house in Breckenridge where a moose was trapped in their basement. Now, what happened was they had big basement windows and deep snow, and apparently a moose was walking by, minding its own business, slipped, lawsuit coming, slipped and slid through the window and into the basement. So if you Google moose in the basement, you'll see videos of it. He's walking around. There's a pool table. Poor moose couldn't figure out. It would have been great if you could have the pool cue going through his horn somehow.
Yeah, really. For that, like
making a shot. Yeah.
exactly.
So
making a messy shot.
Yeah. So how do you get a moose out of your basement, you may ask? They couldn't get him back through the window. So they had to take the moose up the stairs, except the moose didn't want to go up the stairs. So they had to tranquilize the poor moose. And then the rangers came in, and whatever they did, what they had to do to work him up the stairs and get him out the door until they could revive him. And then he ran off into the woods. So, being a male moose, he goes back to, his moose tribe, and all the other male mooses want to know where he was. And he says, I was with this woman at a cheap hotel, and she drugged me. and luckily they were going to take my kidney, but luckily I woke up before they could do it. And I fought them off and ran out.
It's rather involved. There's an involved story there you got going.
Moose are thinkers, John. Moose are thinkers. That, I think that's why their horns are so, their antlers are so unusual. Because
just for that, they are so large. Have you ever seen a moose?
Very large. Yeah,
they're large. We were in Alaska a couple of years ago, and it's really hard to gauge how big they are, but they're huge.
Huge. Oh yeah.
They
I mean,
really
if you've got a moose in your house, there's no magazine in the world big enough to roll up and chase it out.
No, I don't think. No, you need something more than that.
Yeah, you need more than that. That's right.
No kidding. Well,
did you get close enough to touch them, or?
No, a couple photos. We were within maybe, 10, 15 feet maybe to take photos. We got photos of them. We happened to be on a bus drive the last day we were in Alaska before we left. And it was really an overcast, rainy day. And we saw wildlife of all types. And the moose they don't encourage you to get that close because they can really harm.
Oh no, they're dangerous. Yeah.
But it was the first time Annette and I were ever in Alaska, and the first time we ever saw a moose. But boy, they are just they're just gigantic animals.
Did you see any Alaskan roaches?
No, Alaskan. Roaches.
Well, speaking of roaches.
Oh, I see you're creating your own segue. Very good. Very good.
This story comes from Manila in the Philippines. So an artist in the Philippines, Brenda Delgado is her name. Very, very wonderful painter. She does oil paintings, but she doesn't do them on a canvas. She does them on the back of dead cockroaches that she finds in her apartment and in her studio. Yeah, I'm serious, John.
You're living in a bad neighborhood? I mean, come on.
No. No, it's not it's a roach neighborhood. It's a
all right.
Anyways,
let's go with that.
Yeah. So her mom is so proud of her. Her mom is the only person in the world who has artwork of her child on the refrigerator and underneath the refrigerator because it's on roaches. I guess I have to explain that. So it was just beautiful, beautiful paintings. Google painter on roaches, and you'll see a picture of her. So I'm thinking, what if this inspired some of the great artists in history to paint their most famous works on the back of a roach? Think how that would change the art museums, for example, but think more how it would change the art. So I'm thinking, how about Leonardo da Vinci? The most famous painting on the back of a roach would be the Mona head lice.
Or
maybe on some other insect, or maybe the guy who did, I can't remember what his name is, but his new painting would be the American Goth tick. And then of course, and you know who the artist is when I say his name, Whistler's moth.
Okay, all right. Okay, they progressively got better, Paul.
But they got better. Thank you. Okay, so this one comes from this was an interesting one. Right down the road in Tennessee, Interstate 59 in Tennessee. All of a sudden, the traffic shuts down behind a truck carrying a 14,000-pound, 18-foot long cast iron skillet, a real cast iron skillet, world's largest cast iron skillet, on its way to the South Pittsburgh Log Cast Iron Store, the future home of the Lodge Cast Iron Museum. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. The Lodge Cast Iron Museum. Who knew there was enough interest in cast iron to have a museum devoted to it in Lodge, Tennessee? Yeah. So they knew it was real. The drivers weren't sure as it's going by if it was real or not, but they knew it was real because there was a truck right behind it with a giant oven mitt and some.
I'm glad not everybody sees my face.
Oh,
I'm a big fan of cast iron. So okay, we'll try this one. That was a real. If you follow me on Facebook, by the way, I put a lot of the photos and stories like that on Facebook. So take a look at that as well. I always have links to newclevelandradio.net and What in the World. So it's a good way to link into the show. This comes from Japan. An engineering school in Japan holds an annual competition called the Toothpick Tower Seismic Competition. What they do, because earthquakes are a big deal in Japan, and they're trying to train the kids who are in engineering school how to build earthquake-resistant buildings. So, but they can't afford, to teach the kids with steel, so they use toothpicks. And then they shake them. So they build the structure and then they shake them to see the last one that falls down is obviously the winner. I think big deal. Okay, that shows you some strength to a toothpick, but show me a toothpick that can stand up to a well-done steak and corn on the cob. That's a toothpick, and that's what they should make the buildings out of. Did you know that the toothpick dates back 1.8 million years? They have found ancient ancestors of Homo sapiens were using pieces of wood to clean their teeth. The first toothpick manufacturing machine, I should have honked my horn here, 1860s. Guy invented, Charles Forster of Massachusetts, got a monopoly on the toothpick making process. But nobody would buy them. This was the interesting part of the story. Nobody would buy them. So he was in Massachusetts. So he goes to Harvard, of all places, and he goes to the restaurants around the Harvard area, and he goes in to eat. And then he says, I have something in my teeth. Do you happen to have one of those toothpick things that I've been hearing about to pick my teeth? And the restaurant says, no. So then he leaves, and then he pays these Harvard students to go in, and they do the same thing. So he magnifies his coverage area. So he's got Harvard students going to all the restaurants asking for toothpicks. Then he comes back in and he says, hey, would you like to buy some toothpicks? And he becomes a multimillionaire in the toothpick business. Unbelievable. That's
it is unbelievable.
Yeah. True story. The toothpick man of Massachusetts. I wanted to talk about Bigfoot. We were talking about chips. I do have a potato chip story. Lay's, the potato chip people, have come out with a new limited edition Golden Grounds potato chip. This is for you, John. They're made from potatoes that were grown from soil taken from every NFL stadium in the league.
Really?
So, yeah. Even the ones with artificial turf. And I don't know how they did that. They dug underneath.
That doesn't sound good, Paul. The artificial.
Wait, good. I'm not done yet, John.
It doesn't sound organic. It's not organic. But go ahead.
They took dirt from every stadium. They put it in a greenhouse or something. Okay. And the potato chips are advertised as being infused with the grounds and the glory of each NFL team. Now, I'm thinking, I've seen enough players spit on the ground that I'm not sure I want to be eating those. So I do agree with you, John, after I thought about it for a while. I'm not going to eat these potato chips.
No, I wouldn't. I would not.
Yeah. And they're Anyway, so what about the brown? What if you ate chips that came from it's not Brown Stadium anymore, Progressive Field.
First Energy Stadium.
First Energy Stadium, that's right. Yeah. Here's what I heard my prediction. They might taste good, but then you balled up the bag. No matter how careful you were throwing it, you'd never get it into the basket.
Oh yeah, something would go wrong, right?
Something would go wrong. Yeah, that's right. You'd be offsides or
they have a penalty of some kind. Oh my God.
Right. That's right. So I wanted to get to the Bigfoot story because one of our regular listeners, a friend of the show, Linda and Ron, came over recently. Ron is Donna's cousin. And they brought me a Christmas present. And I wanted to show this Christmas present. This is going on my tree next year. It is a Bigfoot ornament.
Wow.
Look at that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
They have to say where they found it?
Let's see. I could read it on the label. It says, warning, do not put in mouth. Cancer and reproductive harm. No, it doesn't. I think I better put it down. I didn't read the label.
Don't touch it anymore, Paul.
I know. I don't need to worry about reproductive harm, but the cancer, on the other hand. So thank you, Ron and Linda, by the way. So very hefty ornament. The kind, if you're underneath the tree and it falls on you, it could cause some damage. But this story comes from New Jersey. We always talk about where do you find Bigfoot. This comes from Bigfoot in New Jersey. An unnamed woman filed a report with the Bigfoot Research Organization that she saw an 8-foot tall, red-haired Bigfoot in the Stokes State Forest in Sussex County, New Jersey. Now, we talk about Bigfoot a lot, and we've looked at the various blurry photos, but I don't believe we have ever seen something that looks even close to being a red Bigfoot. Would you remember it? No, I don't think so.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
So how do you think she found this Bigfoot? So this is New Jersey, okay? So she's got her family in the car. She's driving through the park, and they have to go to the bathroom. So instead of waiting until they get to a rest area, they pull off to the side of the road, and they're doing their business in the woods. And out comes Bigfoot, obviously, to say, "What the hell are you doing this in my woods?" And scares them enough to chase them back into their car and drive away. And then they were so embarrassed that they didn't report it for a number of years. So they just finally reported it.
The shame
Really?
there.
New Jersey, there's a Wawa's everywhere in New Jersey. She could have held off for 5 more minutes and gone to which is a fast food deli kind of place, a Wawa. But I'm thinking, if Bigfoot has red hair, does that mean that Bigfoot is Irish? He
could have some more origin and could have some Irish ancestry. Yeah.
Could have Sasso Squatch, yeah. What if, and which caused me to wonder, what if Bigfoot came from Ireland? What if St. Patrick was actually a Bigfoot?
Wow.
Think about it. He didn't. How did he chase the snakes out? Maybe he didn't chase them out. Maybe he stomped on them with his big feet. His big Irish feet.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Think if St. Patrick was really Bigfoot, I think a lot of people would become Catholic because what a great saint that would be. Bigfoot, Saint Bigfoot. Would you go to that?
I'd go to that church.
Karen would change faiths.
It's interesting. I have a quick question. Sorry, folks.
Oh, great. I was afraid of that. Go ahead, John.
So the creature, okay, for lack of a better term, is called Bigfoot.
Right.
Now, not to be funny, he obviously has a big foot, but how did that stick as a name for the creature? Can you go back to an origin on that to find that out?
It goes back. It was originally Sasquatch, which is the Native American,
right. I remember that.
The white European bastardization of the Native American term, which I can't pronounce because they didn't have a form of writing that they could write it down. So they referred to this creature that they all saw all over North America as Sasquatch. what the Bigfoot is when people started faking it, and because it was a big creature, 8 or 9 feet tall, they would make fake feet big enough to match what they thought an 8-foot tall creature would have. And people saw them and said, "Oh, well, look at the Bigfoot." Kind of like they say to Shaquille O'Neal, until he pounds on him.
All right, that's good. Paul, that thought crossed my mind. Like, why do they call him Bigfoot? Thank you for explaining.
There you go. If you want more thoughts like that, John, you need to spend more time in the bathroom. That's where all my great thinking processes occur.
In the morning, anyways. First thing in the morning. Those thoughts keep coming through your head.
Well, I'm glad. While I've got your attention, John, I'm looking at the clock on the What in the World studio wall, and I think it's time for What in the World of Sports, which is our weekly segment from my old friend John Dinello. I mentioned frequently that John and I have known each other since college. We're fraternity brothers. We live close by, and John has always been a sports nut and a trivia nut and a scholar, really, not a nut, but a scholar of all kinds of sports. So what his contribution to What in the World of Sports is that I asked him to come up with some strange sports that our podcast listeners have never heard of or may have never heard of, and sometimes something that maybe we could participate in. So this week, he has one that everyone in Northeast Ohio can participate in. So that's all I'm going to say, John. I'm going to let you take it away.
Oh, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, everyone that's experienced all the snow that's here can, because we have an interesting sport. It's a winter sport.
Winter sport, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pronounce it as best I can, because it originates in Japan, and the Japanese call this sport yukagassen, for lack of a better phrase, yukagassen, and the name consists of the Japanese word yuki, which is snow, and kassen, which is battle. And in Japan, that's exactly what yukagassen is. It's snowball fighting.
Snowball fighting, organized
snowball fighting.
There you go.
Interesting.
So you can handle. This is a sport for you.
We all can do this if you can pack a snowball. In fact, you don't even have to pack a snowball. Let me explain. So it is so popular in Japan that there have been a total of 28 annual Showa Shinzan International Yugasen World Championships.
World champion. 28 world championships.
Not a Japanese champ, but we're talking world. So
yeah. Well, it's like the United States has the World Series of baseball.
There you have it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you see in Japan, snowball fighting is no longer kid stuff, but it is actually a very popular professional sport.
Professional snowball
sport professionally.
Okay.
As for the rules of the sport, each team consists of 7 players and 3 substitute players. The 7
You need substitutes for snowball fighting. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get hit
heavy duty.
Right, exactly. But the seven on court player positions are 4 forwards and 3 back courts. That's how they
work. 4 in the front, 3 in the back.
So if you can visualize this, the standard court is a rectangle with a length of 118 feet and a width of 33 feet.
So about a third of a football field, maybe.
Right. Yes.
A little over a third of a football field. Okay, that's pretty big.
Right. A little more than half, width-wise.
Yeah.
Two flags, one for each team, is placed on the opposing end.
Okay.
Players hide behind several small wall-like ice barriers, but they must wear helmets, and they also must wear full winter gear during the match.
So they have to dress like kids.
Right. So the 2 flags, each team, their objective is to gain the flag from the other team, from the opponent or what have you.
But capture the flag kind of thing. Yeah,
flag, exactly. Now for me,
but they wear helmets. They have to wear helmets. They can't wear big thick hats.
Let me explain. These snowballs are very tightly packed.
Oh,
I mean, they're done in an automated process. So they're uniform, these snowballs. It's not like, you're forming it with your hands. I mean, these
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
they're actually, I mean, I'm sure they hurt. I mean, if you wind up and you throw it at somebody, you're going to hurt them.
There you
But
go. Machine-made snowballs.
they are machine made. No,
So I'm sure they all look the same.
well, yeah, I mean,
Same look, same size.
yeah, sure. Yeah, they got a uniform. But anyway, so for a match, each team gets to use 90 of these snowballs.
90.
90.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Well, wait, Kim. So who gets? Let's say it's only the 4 in the front, so they each get 20 apiece. So that maybe that, unless they got one guy who's a really good, like a pitcher, give him all 90. Yeah.
I would think a lot of it's based on what people
strategy.
Yeah, that's right. No kidding. But I mean, but at any rate, before the start of the play, excuse me, before
so we haven't even started yet. All right.
Okay. But so yeah, we have a match going on. Before the start of play, players from both teams, they pick up 2 snowballs, to your point, and wait in a ready position. You can't have 2. You can't have more than 2. You have to have 2, and then you kind of get yourself.
This is bringing back nightmares from when I was 10 years old. Go ahead.
So when the game starts, the players start throwing the snowballs as hard as they can at the opposing team players, with the goal of hitting the player. You're not just throwing it at them to send a message. You're out to hit them. Okay.
Hit them.
Right. Now, within a team, players take, as you were referring to, an offensive and defensive position. And again, the players, I think, that are strong, well, not stronger, that have more ability to throw the ball, the snowball quicker or harder, they go on offense. Because what happens is the defensive players, the backcourt people, they're passing the snowballs no more than 2 at a time to the people in the front court.
I thought maybe they jumped up and down, saying, nah, can't hit me, nah, and then jump behind the wall.
Yeah, taunting is good in a lot of sports, but not this one. So anyway, so the team,
you get a flag for taunting.
Exactly. You gotta throw a penalty flag.
Okay.
Players are eliminated when they are hit by only 1 snowball on the fly. So it can't be a ricochet. It can't hit the ground. If you get hit, a direct hit, you're out.
1 hit. That's all it takes.
That's all.
No machine gun. Yeah.
Well, sure. Well, don't forget about those ice barriers. Okay, so it's not like it's just a big circle of people throwing snowballs at each other.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of skill involved.
You can hide. Yeah.
Exactly. So the team that eliminates more of the opposition's players, or they can actually capture the flag. If you're running to get the opponent's flag and you don't get hit by a snowball, you can capture it. You win the match. So
okay. Yeah. So
now each
like paintball kind of. Okay.
Right. Exactly. Each set lasts only 3 minutes. And
3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. That's it for each set. Okay. The first team that wins 2 sets, they win the contest. Now,
kind of wimpy. 3 minutes. They got their winter coats on. We used to spend hours throwing snowballs at each other.
We were a lot younger then. Try about 50 years ago.
Okay, all right. I'll give them a break. Okay.
But wait. So each year, teams from around the world, they gather in Hokkaido, Japan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, that city, for the Yugasin World Championship. Now, there are both women and men divisions.
Oh, there you go, Karen.
Wow.
I'm
out.
It's we've got to make it fair. Now, so while there is no monetary prize for the competition, the honor of victory and the title of champion is enough to keep the winners warm over the long winter.
Give me money.
But there was no world championship in 2021 due to the virus. But in 2020, more than 172 teams competed, and the World Championship at this stadium attracted more than 25,000 spectators.
So,
oh my God.
172 teams.
Obviously, people like to see the competition. I'm sure they could have some concessions there while they're watching the match, right?
That's
or have
more
a
than the
self-beverage
Guardians.
Whatever.
We can't say their name.
Don't say anything.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Okay,
sleep
I will.
dogs lie.
It's more than some teams in the major leagues get. 25,000
wait.
people watching a snowball fight. Wow.
Now, this sport, okay, has grown, and it's not just played in Japan, because there are European championships that are held in Finland, and there are also tournaments that take place in Sweden, Norway, Alaska,
Yeah.
Australia, Russia, Armenia,
Oh,
and also Alberta, Canada,
wow. And Alaska.
and
So
Alaska.
we've got an American representation for this.
Right, no.
Yuki
So we now,
Gossett.
as Paul was referring to about us all living in Northeast Ohio and what's been happening with a number of snows that we've had at least a foot of white stuff that has fallen here in Northeast Ohio. Having a Yugason tournament between neighbors sounds like a lot more fun than snow blowing or shoveling the snow off your driveway.
Oh, you're right about that, John.
So
Probably safer. Yeah.
now in my neighborhood, I don't know if I could get 90 pre-made snowballs, but we could probably muster up maybe 20 to 30. But I don't like that. I mean, I like my neighbors and they like me, I think. So I'm not going to get involved in,
You need the proper prize. What you need the proper prize. You need pizza and beer probably.
Well, yeah, even though it's not right, exactly. I mean, that's not monetary, but it's it's a good night out, that kind of thing. But
sure, yeah.
So
That's
anyway,
much more fun than snow blowing. I could attest to that.
it's already old. We've only had it for like what, Sunday? So Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
3 days. You wake up in the morning, you look at it, it's like, oh, there it is again, right? It's not going.
Christmas is over.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, Christmas is over. We don't need the snow anymore.
Oh,
And it's almost spring, like 56 days.
No, you can calm down.
Spring,
It's not a bad goal to shoot for, but it's a little.
Ignore February. It'll be spring in no time. Yeah, right. Northeast Ohio. We know better than that. It'll be snowing in May this year. All right. Well, John, Yuki Gossett, the Snowball Championships of Japan. What a perfect sport for the season, as always. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Now we have one more sport to play, and that is Bluff the co-host. One that you don't need sports for. That's right. You don't need snowballs mechanically made or otherwise. All you need is your good old brain on your shoulders. The strategy here, I will be reading 3 stories similar to the ones that we've been talking about all afternoon. One difference, some of these stories may not be true. They may be bluffs, and it's up to you, John, Karen, and all of you listening in the podcast world to decide which is which. We allow wagering, so make sure you place your bets now. And John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzer, and let's get right to our first story from Bluff the co-host. Story number 1.
Let's go.
Okay, got it. He's all set. It's always a nice surprise when you reach between the cushions of your couch and find some coins or lost jewelry. But it's hard to do this discreetly when you're visiting your rich friend's house. A man who raises mice in Oregon came up with a brilliant idea. He trained a couple of his mice to slide between the cushions and do the retrieving for him. At first, they just brought back popcorn, Cheerios, and the fuzz that they found. But eventually, he got 2 big ones to grab nickels, dimes, and diamond rings with their little hands. Now, he's trying to decide whether to rent these mice out, show them on America's Got Talent, or move to a neighborhood with more rich people. So, the guy who trained mice to get coins out of couches when he goes to visit people. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff? Where's he at? Did I say where? Oregon. Yeah. He's from Oregon.
You know what? It's weird, but I'm going to say it's a bluff because I'm not letting anybody in my house with mice.
Oh, he sneaks them into the couch.
No.
They're little. They're in his pocket.
No.
Okay. Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
I'm totally with Karen on this one because I'll tell you what. this is an impossibility. I mean, how can this guy train mice? Okay, well, first of all, okay, it's a mouse. Okay, now how smart? Again, logic again. I'm sorry, but
You don't watch enough America's Got Talent, John.
come on,
People can
Paul.
train anything.
I mean, okay, so it's a mouse. Okay, so the mouse wants to go for like a coin or like a ring or something. You know, it's got to be totally.
He gives him a little treat. They bring back for a quarter, you get a little bigger treat. Diamond ring, you get a piece of cheese.
I guess anything's possible. But I tell you, this is impossible in my world.
Okay, all right. So the Michigan contingent says that
It's
the
impossible.
trained mouse is a bluff. Both of you say it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges have each reached a decision. They said you're both right. It's a bluff.
Oh, very good. Okay, restore my faith in humanity again. Very
Yes.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, you're going to lose it now. The next story comes from Florida.
good. All right.
Story number 2, hands on the buzzer. Oh, so the score's tied 1-1, by the way.
Okay.
A barbershop owner in Florida noticed that his senior citizen customers no longer had enough hair to come in regularly, but he saw them still going to the rec center next door. So he decided to get in on the action. He began collecting cut hair and gluing it together in the shape of balls. He then cleared out one end of his shop, placed 10 empty cans of shaving cream in the shape of bowling pins, and opened the world's first hair ball bowling alley. Word traveled fast among the local retirement communities, and he now does so much business with hairball bowling. He bought the nail salon on the other side and turned it into a full-time hairball bowling center. The seniors say they get a workout, they have fun, and the best part is they don't have to rent shoes. So, hairball bowling. Great invention by a barber in Florida. What do you say, John? Real or bluff? Could that be our next weird sport for the week?
You know, it could be, and I'll try to do some research on it. But I think this is one of these bluffs, or one of these questions that is so strange, so strange. It's true. I'm going to say it's true.
John, you're lining this one up for the next What in the World of Sports. Okay, so John says that there is hairball bowling. Karen, what about you?
There better not be. I don't want to touch a hairball.
No, it's human hair. It's human
I
hair.
don't care. It's not mine.
They washed it.
Karen's got a point.
Karen doesn't want to touch hairball, no matter whose they are. Okay.
You got it.
So, all right. So Karen says it's a bluff. John says it's real. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, good for you, Karen. That's a bluff. I'm sorry. That's a bluff. It's a real fear you have of touching hairball.
Thank you.
Sorry, John.
Very good.
Okay. So Karen is ahead 2-1. But the good news is that points are doubled in round number 3.
Yep.
So John has, as always, has a chance to catch up. Sometimes he does. So let's get right to story number 3, hands on the buzzers. If you're looking for a reason not to recycle your old plastic bags, this may be it. A woman in England started saving all of her plastic bags starting in 1975 when she fell in love with a bag from Queen Elizabeth's Silver Jubilee. The Queen is now celebrating her 70th anniversary, and the woman is celebrating the fact that her world record collection of 10,000 plastic bags is now worth close to $100,000. Many of them mark major events or from stores that no longer exist, but the most valuable ones are autographed by important people. She's hoping to get one autographed by the Queen for her Platinum Jubilee, but she'll settle for a plastic shower cap worn by Prince Charles. Okay, so the plastic bag collection since 1975 now worth $100,000 for free plastic bag. What do you say? Let's see, who's we win? Back to Karen. Karen goes first. Real or bluff?
I hate to say this, but I think it's real. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Real.
Okay. Do you save your plastic bags?
No, I recycle them.
Recycle them. Okay. All right. So look, you're giving away, what did I say? $100,000.
Yeah.
Boy, I hope your husband doesn't hear that.
I know.
John, what do you say? The $100,000 plastic bag collection.
I'm not feeling it. I'm going to say it's a bluff. I don't. Yeah.
John's
No.
not buying that.
No,
Do you save your plastic bags?
We. I don't. No, we don't. No, we recycle them like Karen says.
Oh, okay. But you do collect things. I do know that.
A lot of different things. Exactly. But no, but we take them back to the grocery store and all that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's. So John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, "Sorry, John, that's a real story. Start collecting bags."
Karen, now.
Wow!
Karen got 3 right. Very good.
Three.
Wow, very good. A perfect score. Wow. All right. So, but that means John will be spending a lot of time online looking up trivia this week.
Yep, he will be.
And then I will be going through these mock things again.
No snowball fights this week. He'll be busy, except for Sunday when he watches the football game. He'll be busy digging up answers for Bluff, the co-host, next week. And as always, I thank you everybody for playing. Thank you all for tuning in to What in the World this week on whatever platform you're on, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, follow us, please. And I think that's about it. Remember our motto: real news, sometimes strange, always funny. We're on newclevelandradio.net, which Karen Hale is the media mogul. Visit them. You find out how to get to us. And then take a look at some of the other great podcasts she has. Karen's got a podcast for all occasions. So that's what John does. When he's not busy studying up for Bluff, the co-host, he's downloading podcasts from New Cleveland Radio.
He is. He's a busy
Very
guy.
busy. He has no time to collect plastic bags. He's doing all this.
Even though it's worth all that money. Oh my gosh.
There you go. That's right.
I think my position. Explain.
But
I have
one big shout out today because this is really important.
Okay.
It's to the Team Mobile store in Macedonia Commons here in Northeast Ohio. Because of their manager and their very astute sales associate, Julia, we finally got our new phones and our plan that everyone said we couldn't get. So they were wonderful, and they deserve a shout out. And go Jared.
T-Mobile. I thought maybe that was a delivery service, but you're talking about the phone people.
The phone people, yeah.
Right.
But I'm going to make a mental note here because I think delivering tea might be a good business. Certainly.
Might be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's easier to collect plastic bags, so I think I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Anyways,
Oh my Lord.
And on that note, I think we will end this week's edition of What in the World. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Follow me on Facebook, or like me, or whatever you do on Facebook. Don't forget to check mysteriousuniverse.org, where I also do a lot of writing. Thank you, John, as always. Thank you, Karen, as always, for everything you do for our show. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.